Are we looking at a new world order? And if we are, what will it look like? Let's cross to Ireland first. Jerry's in Sligo. Jerry, what would you like to say?
Well, James, frankly, I think the damage is now, the die is cast.
Yes.
The problem is not Trump, essentially. The problem is the 70-plus million Americans who put Trump there. So even if Trump were gone in 2 weeks' time, for some ridiculous reason, the issue is still there. The Americans have turned inwards, and they've closed their face to the world. The ludicrous nonsense about the EU having been formed to upset America, for God's sake. Yes. Anyway, never mind any of that. The facts of the matter are there is going to be a redrawing of a new world order, because there has been, and it's been pushed upon us by 70-plus million Americans.
I mean, I wonder whether we underestimate the unique nature of Trump's diabolical genius. You know, I watched J.D. Vance lying and talking gibberish, and I don't worry. I think, yeah, all right, he might bring some people with him, but you can tell that he's a balloon, can't you? You can tell that Captain Eyeliner is not going to be able to whip up aircraft hangars full of people into murderous frenzies before setting them loose upon the seat of his own country's government. Trump is possessed, whether we like it or not, of something quite different, and therefore, sine Trump, perhaps the recalibration begins to reverse. That's the closest I can get to optimism, Jerry, so tread carefully, because you tread upon my dreams.
I think you're spot on. He has a unique sort of charisma. Well, I personally wouldn't see it, but sure. He does resonate with certain people. I'm sorry to say, and again, I don't wish to be disparaging of the entire American nation. But, I mean,
just as well, Jerry, just as well.
70 plus million of them haven't had the wit.
But what if they voted for cheaper eggs? They voted because they think Michelle Obama is a man. They voted because do you know what I mean? The effort put in.
What does that tell you, James?
I don't know.
What does that tell you?
I don't know.
It tells you that you're dealing with people who, for God's sake, they haven't the wit to find their way through what's going on in their own country.
But hasn't that always been true when dictators arrive in power through democracy? And I don't think it's unique to the United States. It's a human condition, not an American condition.
Oh, I agree with that, but you would never have expected it to land in America, you know, with their approach to things, you know.
You might have Conor McGregor. You might have Conor McGregor running for office over there soon.
Perish the thought.
Well, and then what do we say without wanting to malign the entire island of Ireland? But what if he managed to secure enough support to make his way into office, into power?
James, I've got 40 quid here in my pocket. No, euros.
Euro, please.
40 euros here in my pocket, which I'm prepared to have with you. McGregor will never see the light of day.
I don't think I'm allowed to take that bet for broadcast regulatory reasons. But let's say metaphorically, I think your money's safe, and you know it. But a quick word actually, while you're here, when he turned up in the Oval Office and almost was posited by Trump as the spokesperson for Ireland, the representative of modern Ireland, how did that make you feel?
Well, I mean, to be honest, buffoonery. I mean, two buffoons sort of wrapping their arms around each other. Trump seems to derive some sort of pleasure at being obnoxious.
Yes.
Look how far I can push you, and look how far I can go with you.
Yes.
The other guy is just a complete cretin. I mean, for God's sake. It would be like trying to apply sensible commentary to watching two roosters in a hen house bashing each other. There's no sense in it.
Jerry, thank you, and thank you for just avoiding the maligning of the entire population of the United States, or even the 70 million that were tempted to vote for Donald Trump, because I wonder how many of them have buyer's regret, buyer's remorse. That's another phone-in, of course. How can he still be enjoying approval ratings in the 40s? I mean, lower than they were, and the headlines are lowest ever. But I don't read those headlines with a sense of optimism or happiness. I read them with a sense of shock and horror that 40-odd% of people can think he's doing a good job, even as he removes people like Jackie Robinson, the baseball legend, from official military history. He's been restored now because the outcry was loud enough. But all the other transgressions, all the other obnoxiousness will not prompt a loud enough outcry because there is so much of it.
I kind of agree that there will be like a new world order for the West, but I kind of do that with a caveat. I kind of hope that the American people are going to put a stop to it themselves. Because from what I'm seeing in America is grassroots activism is coming up, and more Americans are starting to pay attention to what's actually going on, because it's not just affecting trans people now. It's not just affecting somebody that you can't identify with. It's affecting everyone, and it's affecting their pockets. And I don't think Trump's going to make the 4 years, quite frankly. I just can't see it.
Well, what does resistance look like, though?
Well, the trouble is I feel that politicians are letting us down, both sides.
Yeah.
So I think there's a few progressive politicians in America that are doing their job. But then when you have Schumer giving things like walking into not closure and stuff like that, then he's just kind of giving anything power he had away. And I don't want you to, it's just up to the people.
I don't want you to talk your way out of your optimism, or rather, I don't want to talk you out of it. But you are kind of doing that because you derive some optimism from the activism that you're exposed to. I counter with the public opinion poll ratings, which are dipping but not plummeting, and the really bad stuff is happening early and it's not turning to people's heads. Joanne writes that the local and regional TV stations in USA, like Fox 13, are just ignoring the federal changes being made. People are not engaged in politics or even tornado damage. It's spring breaks, getting Walmart deliveries and just going about their everyday life. So where does the push come? I mean, when I say what does the recalibration look like? Are you talking about some form of public protest? You mean like an Arab Spring in the United States?
I think it's more grassroots than that. I think
well, what does
people
that mean?
That,
Sorry to badger you, but what do you mean by that?
Minorities and us people, I'm non-binary and I'm autistic, etc. And it's people like us that are always been minorities have to fight up against things. And I think if you look at social media where most people are influenced, rather than Fox News and your traditional television, it's social media that kind of holds the most weight.
And social media is where that thing I just read out to you about Sadiq Khan's complete lies. Twitter, so how does that create the impetus for resistance? It's not a coincidence that Elon Musk has bought it. It's not a coincidence that they're going after DEI first before they go after any other people, because I suppose they're shutting down the things that you see as the most likely engines of change, the most likely engines of resistance.
If you look at what's happening in America, the law itself and the Constitution has been holding up. So things like the gender-affirming ban is now being upturned. Abortion in Arizona has been upturned. And I can have a belief in the system, and I believe in the power of the people to defeat something like this. Do I think that as a West we should go along with America? No. I think we should kind of write them off just now, because you're dealing with someone that's got the mindset of a toddler that's not going to do anything.
Yeah, I hear you, and I genuinely want to leave your optimism untarnished, but I don't share it, because you talk about the rule of law, you talk about the Constitution, and I remind you that he literally carried on deporting people after a judge had ordered him not to, and then calls for a judge to be impeached for handing down a verdict that he doesn't like. You do see, the closest I ever get to a conspiracy theory is wondering whether Suella Braverman is really bright enough to have come up with attacks on the UK judiciary and the maligning of peaceful protesters, peaceful pro-Palestinian protesters as Hamas supporters, and even attacks upon the police with regards to the policing of remembrance ceremonies. You do wonder whether she's actually bright enough to have come up with all that stuff by herself, because now you're seeing what happens when it becomes official government policy in the United States, and it's a playbook written by the far right, and it's called, of course, Project 2025, which is why I wish I could somehow absorb. I'm going to give Keith a quick heads up here. I'm going to use that word, Keith, that we haven't properly greeted with the noise that we used to greet it with for about 5 years. Should we give it a go? I wish that I could somehow absorb some of Indy's optimism by a process of emotional or intellectual osmosis. Don't ask me why we started playing the Hallelujah chorus whenever somebody said that word back in the... I can't even remember, but we used to do it pretty well.
Would you like a silver lining? Would you like a silver lining that's made of mercury and is going to poison us all?
I don't know now. Go on. What did you ring in to tell me?
I would like to draw your attention to the 2024 Nobel Prize in Economics.
Yes. Is it Paul Krugman?
And what they were looking at...
Go on.
So they've got James Robinson, Darren Akameglu, I believe it's pronounced, and Simon Johnson.
Yes.
And they were looking at why some countries are rich and why some countries are poor.
Yeah.
And before their work, everyone was thinking, oh, it's due to natural resources or the echoes of colonization. It's due to all of these sorts of other things. And they really looked at it and studied hard and did the maths. And they came to the conclusion that it is down to the strength of a country's institutions, whether or not there's a strong judiciary, whether or not there's a strong civil service. So it no longer matters whether we think America might be going up or down or sideways.
Yeah.
There is a Nobel Prize that says that when you hack apart your own institutions, you go down. And it's not me saying this. There is a Nobel Prize
Nobel
for
laureates.
economics.
Societies with a poor rule of law
Yes.
and institutions that exploit the population do not generate growth or change for the better. Gosh, I'm going to put you top of the class today. That is. Well, hang on.
you kindly.
What was the bit about the mercury? Don't spoil it, Sarah, because it was Sligo. You know, when I was talking to Jerry in Sligo, I quoted W.B. Yeats, who's actually from Sligo. Only Michelle noticed that. Tread carefully, for you tread upon my dreams. I don't know any poets from Warwick off the top of my head. If I did, I'd have dropped a couple of lines in there for you. But what's the mercury bit? And don't ruin it all.
Well, look at what the impact of that is going to be.
Oh, I see.
A weakening America means we are standing on our own, and it is now inevitable that we stand on our own. So really, it's no longer a question of is there a new world order? It's when it's going to arrive and what we need to do to prepare for its arrival.
Where does post-Brexit Britain fit into it? I wonder if even by, and this show has a fairly good track record when it comes to pointing out the idiocy of Brexit. I wonder whether we ain't seen nothing yet. I wonder whether it's going to look like an even more ridiculous and stupid and boneheaded decision than it does already as a direct consequence of what you're just describing and the fact that we are no longer in, cheek by jowl with the largest single market on the planet, and increasingly with a major international defence force. We are outside.
But there is also an advantage that we now know a way forward to strengthen ourselves, which is to strengthen our own institutions.
Yeah, well, and it's odd, isn't
it?
it,
We
how
have a strong judiciary.
People like Suella Braverman are continually launching attacks upon our own institutions. It's almost as if that wasn't a coincidence. I suppose technically, Shakespeare's from Warwickshire, isn't he?
Stratford, just down the road, yes.
Well, I mean, I don't know where the boundaries were at the time of his birth, but I'd claim him for Warwickshire. Listen, if Coventry can call itself Warwick, if the university in Coventry can call itself Warwick University, I think we can let Shakespeare be.
That's very true.
So when in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, there's a little line about Donald Trump, but whether or not enough eyes can see it at the moment, I do not know. Or what about beware my lord of jealousy? It is the green-eyed monster that doth mock the meat it feeds on, and we all know how that ended for Othello.